There we go. Yeah, so the two words were rumpled and rumbled. I'll go into the chat and put them there. So rumpled and rumbled. Okay. Now these words sound kind of similar, but they mean totally different things. Rumpled, you could use rumpled to do with clothing. It was all messed up if it wasn't neat. Or like if you just got out of bed in the morning and all the bed sheets were sort of everywhere, weren't neat, you would say they're rumpled. That's what rumpled means. There's a P there, rumpled, right? Let me go to the browser. Let me share the screen of the browser. There we go. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll define rumpled. Creased, ruffled, or disheveled in appearance, like a rumpled bed. That's a classic example, right? Rumpled, rumpled. Say it. Mona, say it.
Rumpled.
Rumpled, rumpled, rumpled.
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 Yeah, you got
rumpled, rumpled.
it. Anjali?
Yes, I got it.
Say it.
It's an adjective.
Adjective.
Okay.
Adjective.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, rumpled bed. So you say it, rumpled?
Rumpled.
Rumpled,
Rumpled. Hear that? Rumpled.
rumpled,
Yes.
Okay. So now we'll do rumbled, right? Now it means something totally different, right? Rumble.
Yes, that is
Rumbled, right? So this means, so there's two definitions here that are quite different. Hang on. Somebody's trying to get in the class, I think. I do not know how to join the class. Right, I've informed that person. Okay, right, so coming back to the browser. Right, so there's two definitions of rumble here. And they're quite distinctive. First of all, is the text big enough for you guys to see in the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's visible.
Okay, so rumbled, you could speak about, you know, thunder rumbling, right? A rumbling, a deep rumbling sound, boom, 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 boom. You know, that's a rumble, right?
Yes.
But the meaning, I'd actually forgotten about that meaning. This is the meaning I really wanted you to look at here. The second meaning here.
Chalo.
And it means to discover, right? Something about somebody else, right? Either an illicit activity or its perpetrator. And so somebody said, it wouldn't take a genius to rumble my little game, So the idea is to find out something about somebody else that they were hiding. Now it could be, you know, wrong behavior, but it also could be incompetence. You know, that guy was a bit of a con artist, but eventually got rumbled. That would say we find out that he actually was no good. He should never have got that job. And he got rumbled, is how we would say it. Does that make sense? Rumbled.
The second one actually, but the first one is quite clear. It's a verb.
Yeah,
But what about the second one, like to discover something, right?
yeah.
So how are you using those, like how are you using that word in a sentence? How can we use that?
Let's look it up in Cambridge Dictionary. I'll see if we get some examples there. Here you go. To discover the true facts about someone or something secret are often illegal. His boss eventually rumbled him and he was sacked. So in other words, what that means is, you see how it's used in the sentence, first of all. Does that make sense? His boss eventually rumbled him. So in other words, his boss, sorry, it's converting it to Spanish here for my edification. I need to turn that off, that new feature here. Off. Toucan. Right, there we go. So his boss discovered that the guy was up to something, he was up to no good, right? And he got rumbled, means he was found out.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
I
yes.
didn't understand.
Okay. So let's just say you're working in a legal practice, and so it's important that you do lawful activity, Mona, yeah?
Yes.
But let's just say that you were doing something illegal, right? Like, I don't know, selling drugs, as in cocaine type drugs, you know, class drugs or whatever. You were doing something illegal to make some additional money on the side. I'm not suggesting from one moment you would ever do such a thing, but just bear with me. If that was found out, yeah, if it was discovered, then the right word to describe what happened to you is you were rumbled. So Mona has somebody else in the office she works with called Anjali, and Anjali figured out what she was up to and went and rumbled her. Does that make sense?
Teacher, I didn't understand again.
Okay, I'll try it one more time. Let me just welcome Farah. Furrow, is that Fatima? Who's just joined the class? Somebody just joined the class. Hello. Is that Fatima? Who just joined the class?
Hello, Alan. I am here.
Hi, who is that? Is that Fatima?
My name is Farouk.
Farouk. Okay, Farouk. And where are you from, Farokh?
I'm from Iran.
Iran. Okay, very good. Very good. So Mona, who's on the class as well, is also from Iran. So you've got a compatriot.
Hi,
Am I-
Farouk.
Hello. Hi, Mona. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
So
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
yeah, Mona, say hello to her in Persian, just for the benefit of everybody else.
Salam.
Salam, Mona. Salam. خوبی؟
Okay, okay. You ladies can teach me some Persian. There's Elham joining. There's 3 Persians on the call. That's quite a thing. That's
Yes,
probably
yes.
that's probably yeah. There's no one nation that dominates, but I would say Persia is pretty much high on the list. I would say. So. Hi Elham.
Hi, Ilham. Hi, Farouk.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Nice
Hi.
to see you.
everyone.
So I was just welcoming Farokh there. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she's also from Tehran or from Iran. I don't know whereabouts in Iran, but she's from Iran as well. So I was just welcoming her. Farokh. So Elham and Mona are both from Iran. So there you go. So you're in good company.
Welcome
Yeah.
everyone. Welcome new people.
And
Yeah.
Anjali is from India,
Yes, hi.
up north. Is it Bihar?
Mhm.
Jharkhand?
Yeah, it's Bihar.
Bihar. Yeah, so
Mhm.
Anjali is from Bihar in India. And sometimes we have people from China as well. So it's a good mix. And sometimes there are people from Colombia. So it's a good mix. Okay. So for those who just joined this moment, it's 25 past. We've been going for about 15 minutes. Farokh, since you're new, I don't know how good your listening skills are yet. And so if I speak too fast, you can slow me down. You can say, Alan, can you repeat? Or talk more slowly, okay?
Okay, Alan. Thank you.
Because everybody else, I know them quite well and that they can understand me.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
But you feel
All right.
free. You feel free to press that brake pedal and slow me down. Okay.
Okay.
So what we have done already in class so far, and I won't go over it again, I'll just mention it, but you can pick it up on the recording. There'll be a recording and you can listen to it there. We've gone over the tongue twister, Mrs. Pibble. Mrs. Pibble popped a pebble in poor Polly Pepper's eye. So you guys can have a practice at that. And then we've done only two words so far. One is rumpled and one is rumbled. And there's a chat going as well. So if you have not used it before, Farokh, if you look at the chat window, any words we do, I'll put them in the chat window as well so that you can actually see. And we're also quite often looking up things in dictionaries and seeing what the dictionary definition is. So the word that we've just done is rumbled. And the word rumbled has two distinct meanings. One is a noise like thunder rumbles, rumbled. That's an example of, does anybody know what the figure of speech is that describes that? Anyone? There's a figure of speech that describes that. Rumbled, where the word sounds like the thing that it's describing. Anybody know what that's called?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What are you asking?
All right. Have you ever heard of, I'll just tell you the answer. It's onomatopoeia. Have you ever heard of that word, onomatopoeia?
No.
Okay. So onomatopoeia is where what you say sounds like the thing you're describing. So for example, the buzz of a bee. Buzz sounds like the noise that a bee makes. Yeah. Or I could say the bang of a drum, right? The bang sounds like the sound of a drum. And so rumble is like that, in that rumble sounds like thunder. Kind of. On, I won't be able to spell this. On a mata pia. Let's see if I get it right. Onomatopoeia. I wasn't a million miles away. Onomatopoeia. The act of creating or using words that include sounds that are similar to the noises the word refers to, right? Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Yeah, so here's some examples. Buzz, zip, it's not giving us lots of examples. But anyway, that's what onomatopoeia is. Now, rumble is like that. Now, so rumble has two definitions. One is the sound of thunder, the crash of thunder, rumble. Or you could say the bus to Timbuktu was rumbling slowly along the road. And what I'm describing there is the sound that the bus makes. It rumbles along the road. Does that make sense?
Yes, actually, in like the children, they learn the animal sounds, right?
Yeah, we do.
So it's the same thing, I think.
Exactly.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, and it's used in poetry more than in prose. Okay, so that's onomatopoeia. Now, rumble, in the sense of thunder, is a bit like that. But the word I really wanted to teach you is not that definition, but another definition of rumble. And it's always rumbled. It's like a verb as opposed to a describing word, right? It's rumbled, it's a verb. And what rumbled means is we find something out. So if you were rumbled, we find something out about you that is secret, right? And it's some form of wrongdoing or incompetence. So the example that was given was she was rumbled by her boss, which means that the boss found out that she was doing something she shouldn't be doing. So somebody in work could say, you know, I don't want to be rumbled. Not because they're not, you know, they're doing something illegal, but more that they're rumbled that they're no good, they're incompetent, they can't do their job. Okay, does that make sense? Am I making sense? Have you got that now, Mona?
Thank you, teacher. Yes.
Yeah. And so when we've learned, I'll say this for Foro's benefit, when we've learned a new word, I will encourage you in your interactions with me to use the word again. Yeah. So you deliberately try and shoehorn, there's a good expression, shoehorn it into your sentence or into your verbiage when you're writing to me online, right? Think of a way in which you can say rumbled, right? And that helps you learn it. you know, and drive it in here so that when you really do have an opportunity to use it, it just comes out at the right moment. Does that make sense? So kudos points for anyone who can say rumbled appropriately in the lesson later. All right. Elham, you got a question?
Yes, could I say instead of rumble or as a meaning for it, can I say it was revealed?
Yes. You could say it was revealed. However, there's a nuance. There's a great word. I love that word. There's a nuance of difference between these words, right? Because a revelation is not necessarily a revelation of anything illicit. You see, I discovered that Elham was actually an opera singer. Who knew? But there's nothing wrong with that, right? It was just, it was a revelation. Yeah.
I see. I see.
But if what I discovered was that Elham had a drugs network and was making lots of money selling drugs, right? As in,
Excuse me, can you speak slowly?
yeah, no problem, Fora.
Thank you.
No problem. So what Elham asked me was, does it mean the same as reveal? Does rumbled mean the same as reveal? You got me, Farah? You got the question?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the question. Now, so just to give the answer is they're not the same, because reveal is anything becoming clear or apparent that was previously hidden, right? But it's not necessarily in any way bad, evil, or incompetent or anything like that. It's just you discover something out, you know. Like maybe it was a revelation to somebody that I rode a motorcycle, right? But that's not good, bad, or indifferent. That's just a fact about me, right? Maybe somebody discovers I'm a grandfather. I've actually got a granddaughter. You see, nothing bad about that, but it's maybe a revelation or news to somebody. However, if you're rumpled, right? Rumbled, I pronounced it wrong there myself. It's with a B. If you're rumbled, it's you've been found out. You've been found out, and there's something wrong going on. There's something untoward going on, either illicit or frowned upon, or even incompetence, which is not necessarily wrong, but it's just a lack of capability. So like somebody in work used this word with me the other day. They said, you know, I don't want to be rumbled as not very good manager. I don't want to be rumbled, i.e. find out that I'm really no good. Now the guy was just a guy who's lacking in confidence. And so I would try and give him a confidence boost and say, hey, you know, you can do this, man. You can do it. Right, so Elham's got it. Farah, this is quite an advanced word, so it might be difficult for you, but am I making any kind of sense? So I need you to either give me a thumbs up, use the wee hand tools. I've got a thumbs up from Anjali. Farah, you need to do that, or you need to come off mute and tell me, yes, that makes sense, or no, I'm still confused.
Sorry, I can't get it.
That's okay. So that's fine.
Please explain.
Yeah, it will get easier for you over time. Okay.
Okay.
I won't go over it again because I've explained it twice, and for everybody else's benefit, I don't want to
Okay.
go over it again. Okay, but there will be a recording of the lesson, so you can go over it
Okay,
yourself.
thank you. I
okay?
understand.
And
Okay, okay.
also, if you have a particular issue, I'm very happy to speak to people individually as well. So, like Anjali and Elham and Mona, all of these ladies
Okay, sure.
talk to me one-on-one occasionally, right? And that gives you a bit more practice at speaking and conversation. So we can do
Okay,
that. Okay.
surely.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So we've done Mrs. Pibble, we've done Rumpled, we've done Rumbled. And as a final reminder, try and use these words as you get opportunity. Now, the next word we did in the group chat was rigmarole, a great word, rigmarole, 3 syllables, rigmarole, rigmarole. So let's just look at the dictionary definition, first of all. Quite a simple meaning, a long set of actions or words without any real purpose, right? Okay. So it doesn't mean, it's not the same as complicated. And it's not the same as difficult. Rigmarole is a whole set of actions to do something, and you think, well, why do I have to do all these actions? So the example I gave to Shweta, who asked me about this, was getting all my motorcycle gear on before I go out a ride is a rigmarole, right? It's a rigmarole. You see, in India, because it's nice and 90 degrees all the time, you just hop, all you do is put a helmet on and you hop on and you go, right? And you might wear a sari, or you might wear, I don't know what you call it, the guys wear, but you don't wear the kind of things we do. But in this country, we need to wear a helmet and gloves and boots and protective pants and a jacket. It takes at least 5 minutes to get ready. So it's a rigmarole. Make sense?
Rigmarole.
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 Slightly different pronunciation in the US.
Rigmarole.
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 Rigmarole. Right. Is that making sense? You all know what a rigmarole is?
Yes.
So there's quite a good example. The customs officials, I went to India and the customs official made me go through the whole rigmarole of opening up all our bags for inspection. I had to get everything out and all my camera equipment out, and I have a lot of camera equipment. And I had to get it all out and had to see everything and then put it all back in. That was a total rigmarole. So it's not complicated. It's not difficult. These words are in the same kind of milieu, but rigmarole is its own thing. Right, so somebody give me a thumbs up. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I'm getting it. Yes or no? Yes, yeah. Elham's got it. Anjali's got it. Mona, have you got it?
Teacher, excuse me, my connection interrupted,
That's
and
fine.
now I can connect again. Excuse me.
That's fine. That's fine. No problem. I have you got the definition of rigmarole? Did you hear enough to understand that?
Yes, I know.
Okay. Okay, so we've got rigmarole. Right, so the next one we're going to do is not a word, but it's an expression. And that is, let's see how the cookie crumbles. Let's see how the cookie crumbles. And so this is something that is said very regularly And it's a statement not about cookies, ever. It's a statement about anything apart from cookies. And it's sort of saying, we don't know how this thing is going to work out. We'll just see what happens. And so how we express that sentiment is by saying, let's see how the cookie crumbles. So let's give some examples. So when we started this class back in whenever it was, May, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know how it was going to work out, if it was going to work out, but I just said, let's see how the cookie crumbles. And it's obviously a reference to cooking in that you want to get the recipe just right so that the cookie crumbles and it's not too moist and it's not too crumbly, right? So it's that idea of testing it after the fact. It's usually when something bad has happened to say that someone must accept things the way they are. Yeah. Well, that's when you say that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm disappointed I didn't get that job, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So in other words, in these examples, the thing has already happened and it's a statement of resignation. So it can be a statement of resignation, acceptance. It can be. That's why cookie crumbles. Or it can be more hopeful, like I used it, and I said, let's see how the cookie crumbles. I suspect that this way, that's the cookie crumbles, might be the American, what the Americans do, rather than what the British do. When something slightly unlucky has happened, it could have been prevented, but must be accepted. Okay. Is that making sense? Are people getting that?
Yeah, but actually in this exam, like in this definition, they are using it more in a negative way.
Yeah,
But
they
we
are.
can, like, when we are skeptical about something, then we can use it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it might be positive or negative, anything.
Yeah, the way I used it was like, let's see how the cookie crumbles. Let's see if I can find a use that usage. Okay, so obviously I'm completely outvoted here by everybody on the internet that says that's the cookie crumbles. So it seems to be that's the main definition. It is definitely used like I use it though as well. Let's see how the cookie crumbles as well here for sure. But it seems to be here, more people are saying, oh, let's just accept it, right? That's the way the cookie crumbles. I hope to get onto that course, but I didn't get onto it. I'm quite sad about that. That's the way the cookie crumbles. At least it is a fairly new expression, I think, for all of us. I'm just looking at your WhatsApp, Mona. You got a problem connecting? Okay, I'll just say keep trying. I'll keep the class running. Okay. Right. Okay, so we've done this, how the cookie crumbles. Right, so the next expression I want to do is in other words, which we did touch on, right? In other words. And I said to you guys, what does that mean? And we use this expression when we want to say something, and then to help clarify the meaning, we say, quotes, in other words, and then say something else, right? Elham asks me, how's your job in the bank going, Al? I could say in response, I'm actually not working in the bank anymore. In other words, I got fired. You see how I used that there? Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so Elham got that. So it's important to give me feedback so that I know if I'm making sense or if I'm not making sense. I'm going to go to the chat window. Thanks, Elham, for the reminder. Yeah, I forgot. So we've done rumpled, rumbled, rigmarole. There you go. Expression. Let's see how the cookie crumbles. I will write that down since that's my prerogative to write it, how I would use the word, right? But also, that's how the cookie crumbles. Okay. Foro, can you see the chat window? Can you see that, what I'm writing in the chat window?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I-
And then, so the one we're just doing is in other words, right? So I'll just write that down, in other words. So we would say, let me think of another explanation. Did you cycle to work, Alan, today? No, I didn't really. I looked out the window and I didn't really feel like it, you know. In other words, the weather was lousy. So did you cycle to work today, Alan? No, I looked out the window this morning and I suddenly decided that I didn't feel like it. In other words, the weather was lousy. So in other words, it's just a different way of saying, I used to there without thinking about it. It's just a way of saying something differently. And so to be clear, sometimes we say something and then we repeat ourselves, but we don't repeat ourselves without, we stick these three words in there so that it's clear that I'm just repeating myself. Da, 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 da. In other words, da, 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 da. So, but we use different words, right? Do you
It's
enjoy
actually
the
not
company?
new. It's not new for me. I use this.
You know it. Yeah, I would expect you to know this word, the expression in India, you know? Is India a big country? Yeah, it's absolutely,
Yes.
it's absolutely massive. In fact, it's the second biggest country in the world by population, right?
Yes.
So So it's got quite a big landmass, but it's got an absolutely huge population and a growing population that will overtake China because you've got such a young, you don't have the birth restriction that the Chinese have, and you've got a very young population. Whereas in China has an aging population. Is India a hot country? Yes, very hot. Yes, very hot. And in other words, people like me would really struggle there with all that sun, with our fair skin.
Yes.
In fact, all of you come from what I would define as very hot countries. I mean, Iran and India are both really hot countries to me. I do like the heat, by the way. I do enjoy the heat, but my skin doesn't enjoy the sun. You know, I go red. Yes, Elham.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Iran is not necessarily a hot country. You know, in the south provinces, it is hot, but we have mountains, so we have some snowy places too.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm just ignorant, right? I'm just plain ignorant. In other words, stupid.
No, it's not like that, but rarely people know Iran completely.
Yeah, because all we ever see is pictures of Tehran and protests in Tehran. That's
politics.
That's what Joe Public sees, right? So we don't really know. We're not intelligent about it. Whereas India, we have more awareness of India because there's less political stuff there. You know, there is politics everywhere, right? But
you're right. Yes.
Like I have never been to Iran. It's on my list. It's on my list of things I'd like to do. But I've never been. But I've been to India 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that cinema, the Bollywood is helping to introduce India too.
Yes.
Yeah. Although you need to have a certain to appreciate Bollywood, you need to be Indian, I think, I mean, something like me, I couldn't watch a Bollywood movie, I could not do it.
I like the recent works, the romantic parts are very interesting.
Right. So
there are actually some good movies, but like majority of the movies are the same storyline. There would be a hero, a heroine, and a villain. That's it.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the movie Lion?
No.
You mean the Lion King?
No. It's called Lion, right? I'll write it in the chat, right?
No.
Lion. I recommend it. It's based on, it's based on a true story, and it's a story about India. That guy Dev Patel is the main actor in it, and he's a little boy in the beginning of the movie in India, and he gets separated from his brother. And falls asleep on a train going thousands of miles, and he wakes up and he doesn't know where he is. I think he ends up in Calcutta or somewhere. Yeah, he ends up in Calcutta, but that's thousands of miles from home. He doesn't speak their language, they don't speak his, he doesn't know where he is. And so he's completely lost, right? And the story is how that boy who ends up in Australia.
Oh, I know that. I've not seen the
story?
movie.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a great story. It's a true story. Like to me, like books And it's also brilliant music, right? I love the music. You've got to listen to the music on Spotify. It's brilliant. But it's a lovely story, and I won't tell you any more because I don't want to spoil it for you. But I thoroughly recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it. I've watched it twice. A lovely, emotional story. You will get some tissues because you'll cry your eyes out.
I have seen the interview actually of the real boy.
The real boy, yeah, he's something else.
Yeah.
It's so
Yes.
wonderful. It's such a wonderful story. It's amazing.
Yes.
I recommend that for this weekend. You can watch that and you enjoy it. And of course, you can practice your English a little bit, listening to that. Maybe if you need subtitles, you can put subtitles on. And if you don't need subtitles, you can just listen to it. Great story. Right. Now, so we've done in other words. I thought I would teach you a little bit of Latin. Is that okay? You want to do some Latin?
Yep. No problem.
All right. So the first is a legal term. So Mona might know this one. I'll write it in the chat. And it's sui or sui generis. Sui generis. And sui generis means one of a kind. One of a kind or unique. Your hands up, Elham. Do you have another question? Or have you not put it down from earlier? Right. So, I came across this quite good, useful thing on YouTube. It was explaining it. It's really a legal thing. Well, obviously, there must be a pop band called that, so that kind of confuses us a bit here.
Sui generis. Sui generis. Sui generis.
Did that come through? Did the sound come through there?
Sui generis.
You hearing that?
Yes.
Sui generis.
So there you go, unique. Constituting a class alone. Unique, peculiar. Now, first of all, confession, right? I only have come across this word or expression this week. It was new to me. And I came across it in a YouTube video, a comment about a motorcycle, and somebody described it as sui generis. And I thought, what? what on earth does that mean, right? Because it's not often I come across a word or expression that I've never heard. Yeah, you know, most things in English I have heard of, even if I don't understand everything. I've usually heard of it, but I'd never actually heard of this one. And then I looked it up and seen that, well, actually, it's used a lot. It's used a lot in law.
Where is it used?
It's used in law a lot. Land
Oh,
law.
in law.
Yeah,
Okay,
law.
okay.
It's a Latin phrase that means of its his, her, their own kind in a class by itself, therefore unique. A number of disciplines use the term, including biology, creative arts, law, and philosophy.
One question I have.
Go ahead.
Latin and English both are like same, right? Latin word or English word.
Well, there's lots of Latin in English. And in English, we also say many Latin phrases that we got from Latin that are still strictly Latin, but we'll use them in English. Like, so the other ones I was gonna mention are inter alia, is the one we're going to do next. A priori, you probably heard a priori. A priori is used a
Yes.
lot. And sine qua non. Sine qua non. I think I've done that one before.
Yes, we
If
have
some-
done that.
Yeah, if something is absolutely essential, but it doesn't matter. I don't mind going over the expression again. But sui generis means unique, right? Right, it's unique. There's nothing else quite like that thing.
Teacher,
Go ahead. Mona?
teacher, excuse me. The legal meaning of this word is different. This means capacity.
Capacity, no. Like,
No.
here's how it's used in law, so that you'll be able to relate to this. In law, it is a term of art used to identify a legal classification that exists independently of other categorizations, either because of its singularity or due to the specific creation of an entitlement or obligation. For example, a court's contempt powers arise sui generis and not from statute or rule. The New York Court of Appeals has used the term in describing cooperative apartment corporations, mostly because this form of housing is considered real property for some purposes and personal property for other purposes. When citing cases in other authorities, lawyers and judges may refer to a sui generis case or a sui generis authority, meaning it is a special one confined to its own facts and therefore may not be of broader application.
Okay. Thank you.
And I see here it's used in the UK in planning law. I won't go into that anymore, but I think if you could basically substitute it for unique, but it's such a powerful expression that you would use unique every day of the week, right? You would say that word very frequently. You wouldn't say sui generis very frequently. So if you're describing something as extremely unique, extremely rare, I would
Okay.
say you would use sui generis.
Thank you, teacher.
I would say most people wouldn't know what you're talking about as well. That's the reality of that, you know. I had to look it up. I didn't know the name. Okay, so that was sui generis. So then there's this other one which I read in a book recently, inter alia. Inter alia. So let's just look up the definition of that. It essentially means amongst other things. Define inter alia. among other things. The study includes inter alia, computers, aircraft, and pharmaceuticals. Right? So Elham's doing a course just now. I could say to her, hey, Elham, what's your course about? And she might say a few things, the Python language, inter alia, data science, and a little bit of quantum. See what I did there? I said something and then I said inter alia, and I mentioned several other things. So the idea is just saying, amongst other things, you would use inter alia more written than spoken. Let's hear how they signed it out.
Inter alia.
Inter alia. Inter alia.
Inter alia.
Inter alia.
Inter alia.
Okay? So think of it as just a synonym for among other things. This is super advanced English, right? You only get this in my class, right? Right. Now the next one is much more common, right? Much more common. A priori. Let's hear the pronunciation.
A priori.
Oh, I don't like how she pronounced it.
A priori.
She's probably right though. But I would never say it like that. I would say a priori.
A priori.
She says a priori. I mean, I'm sure she's right. It's not something you say every day of the week, but it's much more common than the others, right? And it means relating or denoting reasoning or knowledge which proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than from observation or experience. Like, so for example, here's how I've heard it used a lot, right? People who promulgate the theory of evolution have an a priori belief that there is no God. Does that make sense? You see how I used it there? So people who promulgate the theory of evolution have an a priori belief that there is no God, right? Because it's trying to explain Genesis, it's trying to explain us, creation, as happening by random chance, as if there's no God there, right? I'm not asking you to believe what I believe, right? I'm just asking you to understand how we use that term a priori. Does it make sense? So how I'm using it there is I'm saying I have a forethought opinion, right? I'm coming to the discussion with a previously held position, a priori belief. I've got an a priori belief, right? It proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than observation or experience. In other words, that's what my theory says. So it's a priori. This is a very good word here, empirical as well, empirical. The word empirical means measured. So somebody might say, I'm on a diet just now, but I'm not making any empirical progress. Now, what I would mean by that is I'm not making any measurable progress. I'm learning a language just now, Spanish, but I'm not making any empirical progress. So empirical means measured. You put a number on it. So the term empirical observation's got to do with science, because science is mostly about what you can observe and measure. I mean, there's theory in it too, but you know, you have to be able to measure things. So, you know, what's the speed of light? Some people believe you can measure it, and you know, they say it's 186,000 miles a second. And other people say, you know, you can't measure it, it's not empirical. Scientists have different views on that. Yes, Elham?
In the definition, which is on your monitor, a priori as an adverb has an example. Sexuality may be a factor, but it cannot be assumed a priori. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if I say this sentence like, it cannot be assumed a priority? What is the difference?
Is the last word you use there priority?
Yeah.
Rather than priori? Yeah. Yeah, it's got a totally different meaning to priority. Completely different. Because priority is, let's just cover that first of all, and then we'll come back, right? So priority says that where you're putting some people in front of others, right? So if you're getting on a plane and you've got a first class ticket, you're treated with priority, right? So you will get on first.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what priority means. We all understand that. Whether we've experienced it or not in life is, I'll tell you, I'll give you a good example. Anytime I am in India, I am treated with priority, right? I don't deserve it and I don't ask for it, but I'm treated with priority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of quite embarrassing sometimes. So that's what priority means, right? A priori just totally, though it sounds like it, it's nothing to do with it, right? I mean, there's probably some Latin root here. There is a Latin root, but I haven't looked at the etymology of priority before, so I don't really know. But a priori, or a priori means that you have an opinion about something. That's how to think of it. You have got an opinion about something when you come to the argument, right? It's always got to do with an argument or discussion or a paper or a belief, right? You've got, when you come to it, you've got a preconceived idea, a preconceived notion, right? Ahead of time. That's what a priori is. So what that statement made there was, sexuality may be a factor, but it cannot be assumed a priori. In other words, when they say sexuality there, I think they mean gender, right? Let's just assume they mean gender, right? So gender may be a factor, but it cannot be assumed a priori. So in other words, the results of the survey looked a bit skewed one way or another. And somebody said gender may be a factor, i.e. women might vote differently in the survey or respond differently in the survey. Like let's give a real up-to-date example. The company surveyed their staff to see if they would like to work in the office or work from home on a permanent basis. And the results showed that the majority would prefer to work from home. And based on that, somebody could say, gender may be a factor, but it cannot be assumed a priori. You see that? In other words, many people might think, well, women, because of the responsibilities many have with respect to children, and family may prefer to work from home. And so
Yeah.
that would skew the result. So somebody may say that might be a factor, but we cannot assume that a priori. We would need to know. We can't just assume that.
Yeah, I got that. I got it now. I had understood it wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So go back to my first example. That's how it's used a lot, right? An a priori belief that there is no God, right? Lots of people are like that, right? I'm not like that. I believe in God, right? But lots of people, especially in the West, I can't speak so much about India, and I can't speak intelligently about Iran at all, right? Because even though it's quotes ostensibly a religious country, that doesn't mean to say that people believe that, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that. Like some people think that Britain is a Christian country, but I can tell you it's not. Some people believe, some people don't, right? But it's a very good example where some people have an a priori belief in God or an a priori belief that there is no God, right? And they try to frame everything else around it. That's a very typical use of that terminology. But it is used in all kinds of arguments and discussions where you come with something, think of it like preconceived idea, preconceived notion. Right, one more Latin.
Okay.
All right, and we've done it before, so it's kind of revision. Sine qua non. Sine qua non. This is advanced English. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I need an E in there.
Sine qua non.
Sine qua non.
Sine qua non.
An essential condition, a thing that is absolutely necessary. Grammar and usage are the sine qua non of language teaching and learning. Right? So we do grammar as well as vocabulary. And you need to understand the grammar to understand the language properly. There you go. It's an impressive way of describing something that's essential. So here they're using something very sort of homely. Chocolate chips are the sine qua non of chocolate chip cookies, for example, and wind is a sine qua non for flying a kite. The term literally means without, which not, in Latin, and it was originally a legal term. So there you go. That's an excellent definition there, right? So it's flowery, fancy language, right, of saying something is essential. So we've got fancy language that we've learned today for saying something is unique. What was it? Anyone? What did we learn?
Okay. Sorry.
We have learned a Latin phrase for saying something is unique. What was it?
Yeah. Something is unique. Sorry. Yeah. It's sui generis.
Right, exactly.
Generis.
Yeah, sui generis. Sui generis, right? And now we have an expression for saying something is essential. Sine qua non. Sine qua non. So you would only use these in very special, scenarios. Like, so you might say, um, um, this is a bit of flattery, right? But she'll forgive me. I could say that Mona is the sine qua non of the success of Alan's English teaching class, right?
Thank you.
Now, what am I saying? What am I saying there? I'm saying that she's an essential element, right? Why? Because she turns up every single week. She never misses, right? So sine qua non, see? But I might say, and that's obviously, you know, because we're here, but in the work scenario, I might say the team's success, the sine qua non of the team's success was that guy Martin, right? Because he's just the smartest guy I know, right? So the ideas mostly come from him. So it's not like, you know, we've got 5 people and everyone puts in 20% of the ideas. It's Martin gives 80% of the ideas and everybody else contributes 20%, right? So Martin is a sine qua non of success. So I can say it about somebody, I can say it about chocolate chip cookies, I can say about a musical theme, I can say about the movie, right? The sine qua non of the Lion movie is the fact that it was a true story and it was like incredible. Like you would not believe, if you knew the premise of the story, and I don't want to tell you the premise really, because I don't want to spoil it, but if you knew the premise of the story, you wouldn't believe it. It would be incredible, right? By the way, slight aside, the word incredible has 2 meanings, right? People say, well, that's incredible, right? And what they mean by that is they mean, well, they use the word informally to mean something is very good, right? So some people, there's been a new Bond movie come out and my boys have been to see it. And I said to them, well, is it really incredible? Is it really good? And they said, it's all right. It's okay. It's not incredible, right? But I described a movie earlier to you called Lion, which I've watched recently and watched a long time ago. And I love the music. And I can tell you it's incredible, right? But by which I mean, it's very good, right? Because incredible means, in means not, opposite, incredible means believable. So it's not believable. You know, Alan, what's your motorbike like? It's incredible. Like strictly that means not believable. But what I mean by that expression is it's really, really good. Incredible, right? Incredible, right? So like to credit something is to believe it. Like somebody might say, would you credit that? Would you credit that? I could say to you, Anjali, would you credit that? And I am asking you, would you believe it? Right? As a rhetorical question. I'm expecting you not to believe it, right? So incredible. So that's how we use the word, but strictly, incredible means not believable, right? Not believable. So in other words, if I was using, you know, that's incredible, but very few or almost nobody uses the word like that nowadays. They don't say, you know, like somebody might say, do you know, you know, Elham might say, I've got a PhD in Chinese. Did you know I'm fluent in Chinese as well as Persian? And I might say, that's incredible. I don't believe you, right? I just don't believe it. Could be true, but I don't believe it, right? It's incredible. So this was a little aside, since I used the word incredible and then realized that I need to point this out. When people use incredible, they almost always use it with respect to meaning something is fantastic. There's another word. There's another word that's misused. Fantastic in its strict meaning and fantastic is how it's used are very far apart. Because if I say something is fantastic, it means that it's not real. It's made up. That's fantastic. It's a fantasy. It comes from fantasy. So I don't know Fora at all, because I've only just met her tonight for the first time in the class, but she might say to me, you know, well, I'm a Hollywood actress, don't you know? And I might say, well, I don't believe you, right? And I might say, you know, I could say, you know, that's a total fantasy. And so if I describe something as fantastic, again, I can mean it's really, really good, like, or incredible. It's really, really incredible, or really, really good. It's fantastic. Or I could use those words strictly in saying it's completely fantastic, right? In other words, it's just made up. So both of those words over the years have kind of morphed so that they mean not what they originally meant. But you can see how, you know, strictly speaking, they mean that, you know. Is that helpful? Or is this knowledge is this knowledge too esoteric? That's a good word, esoteric. Esoteric means special knowledge. Intended or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with specialized knowledge of interest. Yeah. So hopefully this knowledge is helpful for you and not too esoteric. Right. So we've dealt with enough Latin for one night, right? So we'll come back to English and we'll do something really simple. And I'll call this aha, as in an aha moment. So I'm explaining something to you, and Mona says, aha. Right, and that's not really much of a word, is it, right? It's more like an expression, you know? It's more like a guttural just reaction. She says, aha. And what that means is, I get it. I understand, right? So you can say in reaction, it's used in a reaction in a live, you never use it written down. You never put it into prose or poetry. But you use it in interaction, either one-on-one or one-on-many. And you could say, aha. And it's just simply, we sometimes say this, the penny has dropped. I bet you haven't heard that one before, have you? The penny has dropped. The penny has dropped also means the same thing, which is, I get it. I understand. Mona, I'll say something we learned in the previous class, and it's not rude. I would say, spit it out. Spit it out. What is it? Are you going to say something? Or were you just having a wee aha moment to yourself? So go ahead. You want to say something?
No, teacher.
No.
In Farsi, when sometimes we got something, we say ahan.
Like, okay, very similar. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. So we would say aha, but I could also say Mona had an aha moment, right? So if I was describing you and your reaction in that moment, I would say, well, after I explained that, she had an aha moment. She never understood that, but now she understands it. She had an aha moment. Got it?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. So in a moment, you're going to have an aha moment, right? I'm sorry, I'm picking on you tonight. If you have an aha moment, you're going to say, I get it now. I understand it. Yes.
Okay.
So that experience you go through, that momentary realization, it's dawning on you, right? We might say, it dawned on her. See that? All those words mean the same thing. Aha, or the penny has dropped, or it dawned on her.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
So the girl was talking to the guy in a very serious tone. And suddenly the penny dropped that she was not going to marry him. See how I use that? The penny dropped, i.e., he suddenly realized she was not going to marry him anymore.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So how is that aha moment? It's a sad moment. for
It's a
him.
sad moment, but both of them are to do with realization. Aha is generally used in a positive sense. Yeah, I agree. But they're all the same kind of thing. It's realization, it's dawning.
Okay.
See, I could say, it dawned on me that I was going to get promoted. After the long preamble from my boss, it suddenly dawned on me he's about to promote me. That was positive, but it also could be negative. I had this long discussion with a manager, and it dawned on me eventually that I'm going to get fired. That's very negative. So it dawned on, like, I've come to the realization, be positive or negative. The penny has dropped, can be positive or negative. Aha, could that be negative? Mostly not. Aha is mostly positive and mostly just coming to an understanding, as opposed to, yeah, just coming to an understanding of something.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So one of the expressions I threw in when I was teasing you all about the class today, I said, see you later, alligator.
Yes, I didn't get that.
You
Alligator
didn't?
is crocodile. Alligator is crocodile, right?
Yeah, it's a different creature from a crocodile. It looks like a crocodile. Yeah, it's strictly not the same thing. It's like a lion and a tiger, right? They're both big cats, but they're not the same, right? So an alligator and a crocodile are two, ancient reptiles, you could say, but they're not the same. But see, I could say to you, I'll see you later, alligator, in a wild crocodile. Okay? And these are just expressions that people use in English. And I threw it in there to teach you another colloquial expression. So if I say, see you later, alligator, I'm not calling you an alligator. Really, all right? It's an affectionate term, really, right? I'm just saying, see you later, alligator, because it rhymes. Later and alligator rhyme, right? They rhyme. And so, see you later, alligator. I'm just saying, I'm going to see you later. That's all I mean. And so some people have sort of taken that to the next step, and they sort of double it up and they say, in a wild crocodile, because wild and crocodile rhyme. So if I'm being quite light-hearted, I might say that. Quite common.
Oh, just the rhyming thing.
Yeah. I think there might even be a song. I'll see you later, alligator. There might even be a song about that. And we've been going for an hour and a half, so I need to close the class off now before I fall asleep myself. So we'll do.
Yes, you are looking tired actually.
I can always depend on Anjali just to say exactly what's on her mind. She's very candid. See, candid. Candid is like truthful, right? But there's a nuance of difference with truthful, right? Candid means holding nothing back. So the last one we touched on in the class, and the thing was, who moved my cheese? Or somebody moved my cheese. And we discussed that a little bit online. And this is a very common expression. And this expression means somebody did something to my circumstances. And it's got nothing to do with cheese, right? It's the idea is of a mouse coming out, and the mouse goes to a certain place where it's cheese, and its cheese is always left in the same spot. But if somebody moves it, it confuses it, right? So we say, and I think this is more an Americanism than a Britishism, we can either exclaim, somebody moved my cheese, or who moved my cheese, right? Which is not an exclamation, it's more an accusation, right? Who moved my cheese, right? Somebody did something, somebody changed something, right? Now let's look it up, see what it says. Well, it's a book, very good. I've actually got the book, believe it or not. I should have brought it. I'll bring it next week. It's through there. Right, so it's an amazing way to deal with change in your work and in your life. Published in 1998. It's a best-selling seminal work and motivational business fable by Spencer Johnson. The text describes the way one reacts to major change in one's work and life. The 4 typical reactions to those changes by 2 mice and 2 little people during their hunt for cheese. There you go. So that's where the expression came from. I actually have the book, right? 26 million copies sold, right? But the expression has moved into English, right? It's into parlance and is used frequently to refer to the fact that something fundamental has just changed, you know. And also, I think a key part of it is that I didn't initiate it. You know, somebody, somewhere, something happened. You could say that the pandemic came and everybody's cheese was moved, right? Our lives were turned upside down or topsy-turvy.
What was the last expression? Topsy-turvy.
Yeah, topsy-turvy.
Topsy-turvy.
Upside down. Yeah, very common. Upside down. Completely muddled up, jumbled up, topsy-turvy. The state of utter confusion. Economic topsy-turvy has been set in motion by employee ownership of public companies. So either upside down or placed upside down. The bookmark showed a topsy-turvy flag or utter confusion. And that ends the lesson, ladies. I normally say boys and girls if we've got a boy on, but it's all ladies. So Baruga's
Thank
disappeared.
you. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll see you on, do the homework, send me stuff. I'm giving you very light homework. I'm just giving you a word a day or something, right? So it's easy,
Yes.
Let's try and there's 40, 50 or 60 people in the group now, but there's only about 5 or 6 of you actually ever respond, right? So I don't know what to do. Do I delete everybody else who doesn't respond, or do I leave them there? I don't know. I don't know what to do. So anyway, nice to see you. If anybody wants a chat at the weekend at some point, let me know. No, we can have a one-on-one chat. No problem. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Good to see you, Ilham. I missed you. All right.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.